Welcome to Subjects Academy Learner, aka SAL. Today we are going to be starting a brand new chapter from section 2, that is print everyday life, print culture and politics. This is the section 3, I suppose. And then the chapter is print culture and the modern world. So we'll be learning on how the print culture, that means the books, literature, journals, newspapers, novels, any kind of books, and how they um, sculpted the modern world we live in. This is the part one of this chapter, because obviously you asked for a very detailed explanation, and I will give you a kind of a detailed explanation and an overlook of this chapter. All right, so first, so this is just a little introduction on what we are going to learn. Obviously, we are going to learn the topics such as the first printed books, print comes to Europe, the print revolution and its impacts. We have to learn about the impacts in history. All right. So the next is the 19th century, India and the world of print, religious reforms and public debates, new forms of publications, print and censorship. So we are going to be covering all of these chapters. All right, so when we say print culture in history, we mainly go back to we mainly go back centuries, right? And we go to China and even India, because we had inscriptions and manuscript way dating to AD, right? We did have those, and we still have those manuscripts, inscriptions and all of those things, right? Exactly. So we now, first half of this chapter, we are going to be studying about print culture, right? And mainly in the parts of eastern, or what do you say, northeast side of Asia. That includes parts of China, maybe, and even east of China, that is Japan, right? So, first, the first printed books. So, when we talk about the first printed books in this chapter, we are not talking about the manuscripts or anything like that. Just we are referring to the first printed books in Asia, Japan, and even Korea. Okay, so this hand printing system, matlab just writing with the hand, with the help of your hand, was kind of invented in China. They made all sorts of these books. Okay, from 594 AD onwards, books in China were printed by rubbing paper, which was also invented there. Rubbing paper, all right, and against the inked surface of wooden blocks, as both side of the thin prosperous sheet could not be printed. The traditional Chinese accordion book was folded and stitched at the side. Okay, accordion book, matlab just like a musical kind of a book, and it was folded and it was stitched. When you see like old dictionaries, you see a little of threads at the back of the books, right, at the side of the books, right? Which holds that all pages together, right? There might not be using any gum or any superficial or industrial materials to stick these through, but it was stitched. That means they used some form of synthetic or even just natural fibers to tie them all together, and superbly skilled craftsmen could depict the remarkable accuracy, the beauty of calligraphy. Calligraphy ka matlab hai the art of beautiful and stylist writing. You have seen calligraphy, right? I once tried calligraphy and वो बहुत बुरा सा आया था. चलो मेरा नाम लिखते हैं पवन. So if we write, this is like a very shitty handwriting, guys, but calligraphy is a very nice form of handwriting, and so many people have mastered in the art of calligraphy. All right, you have seen people write in such stylish manners in those fancy ink pens, Right, exactly. So that is what calligraphy is, okay? The art of beautiful and stylish writing. Okay, you write simply मैं भी लिखता हूँ यार, like I also write, okay, like पवन, इसको stylish और beautiful बनाना, ठीक है? Okay, it's not just about writing or what the information you are conveying, it is also about making it beautiful, making it attractive. Okay, so that is what calligraphy is. Okay, and then the imperial state China, for very long the major producer of printed materials. Obviously, you know how China is, even on tea and even on certain materials such as silk or candles, all of these things China wanted to have the monopoly. They did not want to reveal their secrets or any such thing. Okay, they wanted to keep the monopoly, and textbooks for this examination were printed. See, civil service examination, so obviously in China they had examination were printed in vast numbers. The sponsorship of the imperial state ka matlab hai the ruler, right? The king was the sponsorship, because he needed the army, civil servants, like that. Okay, so moving on. uh all right. So we see how many women, even in Shanghai and even in parts of China, started reading these books. Many women began even publishing their own poetry and plays, and wives of scholar official published their works, and Cortenses wrote about their life. Okay, so next, print in Japan. Print in Japan may this image is very important to know, because this will be asked in your MCQs, or even maybe given in your case based study, but rare chances hai, पर फिर भी, because this image depicts the page of Diamond Sutra, okay, which is wrote by Buddhists, and it's a Japanese book. This language is Japanese. आपको पूछा जा सकता है कि डायमंड सूत्र किस लैंग्वेज में है, तो आप क्या बताओ? जापानीज का बुक है, तो जापानीज लैंग्वेज में ही होगा. ओके, सो and how did print came to Japan? By Buddhist missionaries from China introduced hand printing technology into Japan around 768 to 770 AD. The oldest Japanese book printed in 868 AD is the Buddhist Diamond Sutra, containing 6 sheets of text and wood cut illustrations. Okay, pictures were printed on textile, playing cards, and paper money. In medieval Japan, poets and prose writers were regularly published, and books were cheap and abundant. Right, so obviously, you know, Japan, they might do something to the already there technology, and they might improve it, and obviously it got abundant when the printing increased. Right, so moving on, we need to talk about how print comes to Europe. Print mainly comes to Europe by two things. We can just skip this page. Okay, they may ask you for the 2 marks wale questions, and how did print come to Europe. So the first thing is, you have to write about the silk routes. Okay, silks and spices from China flowed into Europe through silk route. So silk route we need to give. Okay, silk route, only silk or the crafts of silk did not travel through this part. As you may have read in the first chapter of this third section, the making of the global world, you might have learned that even in the Silk Road, spices, potteries, food varieties, all of these were introduced. And one of the things that was carried by merchants and people traveled across these silk routes is the books, the printed books, and they were introduced to Europe by these people, because the silk routes originated from the east points of China to Eurasia and even parts of Europe. Right, so moving on, and we need we need to give another reason, that is Marco and Polo. Marco and Polo, he was an explorer, Italian explorer. All right, they can ask you for the 1 marks. So, C, made in 12 9 12 9 sorry 1295, Marco Polo, a great explorer, returned to Italy after many years exploration in China. Okay, he also introduced this printing culture to Europe. Okay, when we talk about Italy, it is in Europe, so यूरोप ही हो गया, ठीक है. सो मार्को पोलो bought this knowledge back with him. Now Italians began producing books with wooden blocks. All right, soon the technology spread to other parts of Europe. Luxury editions were handwritten on very exposing vellum. Vellum का मतलब है parchment made of animal skin. Okay, meant for aristocratic circles and rich monastic libraries. So, and then we can skip that part, and next we have to learn about the Gutenberg and the printing press. So Gutenberg, यहाँ पर एक introduction दिया है. Gutenberg was the son of merchant, grew up in a large agriculture estate. So he was a goldsmith, master goldsmith, and acquired expertise to create lead molds, making excuse me, making tinkers. All right, he used olive press provided the mold for printing press, and molds were created by casting the metal types of the letters of the alphabet. मतलब metals जो है उसमें एक एक लेटर, मतलब A B C D, ये सब metal molds में बनाना. जो the print, how it worked in the printing, you have a sheet of paper by, okay, see, this is how printing worked. You have a sheet of paper, and if you want to print something like the headline, चलो पवन ही न्यूज़ पर आ गया, हेडलाइंस बना दिया पवन ने. चलो कैसे प्रिंट करेंगे, वो लेंगे PAVAN, इन सभी इंडिविजुअल ब्लॉक्स होंगे, और ये कुछ लाइक 3D शेप में समझ लो, और ये एनरेज है, मतलब आप जब छापो तो उसका मार्क आनी चाहिए, ठीक है. इंडिविजुअल लेटर्स ले लिया पवन बनाने के लिए, चलो चाप दिया यहाँ पर PAVAN होगा पवन N, और गौड़ा भी लिख लिया, हाँ जी. चलो ऐसा ही. Okay, this is how printing worked. All right, and they would have a kind of a stick kind of a thing, and they would put these Pavan VAVAN wala individual blocks of letter, and they would press it against the paper. So that is how printing actually worked in all of these what we are talking about. So yeah, so and the Gutenberg perfected the system. Okay, the first book he printed was a Bible, the Gutenberg Bible that we refer to, which is one of the most okay, it is the first printed thing to be printed by a machine, and it was the first book that Gutenberg ever printed with his press. See, there is a Gutenberg printing press, we have it right there. And the Gutenberg library is still existing till this day, right? Even when you're watching in like 2 to 3 years, it is still there, and it is located in Boston, in the University of Harvard. Okay, the Gutenberg library. Even when you ask people at Harvard, or some people, what is the oldest book in the campus of Harvard or the libraries of Harvard, they will tell you the Gutenberg Bible or the Bible, right? So because obviously the oldest, even आप पुराने बाइबल को लेकर फिर से छाप दो तो वो भी लेटेस्ट बुक होगा, क्योंकि वो लिखा गया था लाइक AD में, ओके, अर्ली CE में, कॉमन एरा में, ठीक है. चलो, और ये ऐसे प्रिंटिंग प्रेस चला गया, एंड आफ्टर Gutenberg introduced all of these printing press, it started to revolutionize, because like someone, you know those cup phones, right? We have all tried this in our childhood. एक दो कप होते हैं, कप पे से बना नहीं है, स्ट्रिंग अटैच कर दिए और ये हो गया. ये था ओल्डेस्ट फॉर्म ऑफ टेलीफोन, इसको टेलीफोन भी बोलते हैं. अब देखो एप्पल आ गए, सैमसंग आ गए, हाँ, किन किन चीज आ गई है अब. हाँ, तो हम ह्यूमंस तो छोड़ते नहीं जब तक वो आसान वाली चीज में बदल ना जाए। ठीक है, हमें आसानी हो बना सॉरी इस्तेमाल करने में। ठीक है, और बहुत सारे फायदे भी हो इसमें। तो आप सिर्फ बात कर सकते, और ये नए नए सेलफोन में तो आप फोटोज भेज सकते हो और टेक्स्ट कर सकते हो, कुछ भी कर सकते हो यार आजकल। तो इसीलिए हम छोड़ते नहीं है, इसीलिए हमने इलेक्ट्रिकल मशीन्स बनाने स्टार्ट कर दिए इन दी अर्ली 20th सेंचुरी या अर्ली 19th सेंचुरी और लेट 19th सेंचुरी, आई एम सॉरी। ऑलराइट, सो पीपल, like there are many things that could be altered. This is like a laborious work, right? This could be what, automated, right? And these flatten, right? This could also be automated, like just the frames could move on, and the printing block placed over the paper, that could be moved automatically. Like that, people thought of this and people revolutionized this Gutenberg printing press. Now you have a printing press, like it is like literally small. It's like even like this is ratio mein aayega. Okay, so that is what we have right now. The printing press now, just like this much, it's enough, right? We don't need this strong man to pull this lever or हमें एक pattern to. And as we can see, the second half of the 15th century saw 20 million copies of printed books folding the market in Europe. The number went up in the 16th century to about 200 million copies. You can see how in the turn of the century it increased from 20 million to 200 million. Right, so moving on, we need to discuss about the print revolution. We will be discussing about how the print revolutionized how the people saw the modern world, and it brought a lot of changes, as you can see, to the social order, that is the government that was there. And people, all of these people started to criticize these authors that were criticizing the monarchies, aristocracy, the Roman church. As you can see here, as Martin Luther King in 1517, a religious reformer, Martin Luther wrote 95 theses criticizing many of the practices and rituals of the Roman Catholic Church. A printed copy of this was posted on a church door in Wittenberg. It challenged the church and debate ideas. मतलब इस जो एक चीज है 95 थीसिस जो है वो क्रिटिसाइज करती थी, वो मतलब कॉन्ट्रडिक्ट करती थी जो रोमन कैथलिक चर्च है, जो रोम है, वहां पर भी जीसस क्राइस्ट वो किल कर गया था, इसीलिए वहां पर रोमन कैथलिक चर्च इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट हाईएस्ट चर्च, right? Okay, and all of the church things is taken care by the Roman Catholic Church, and it criticized the practices and religious rituals of this Roman Catholic Church, right? So it made a division, that is Catholics and Protestants. You might have read about these two in your unification of Britain, right? So moving on, we have print and dissent. See, even the Roman Catholic Church hated all of these people. See, in Italy, a miller in Italy, he's called Michino, began to read books that were available in his locality. He reprinted the message of the Bible and formulated a view of God and creation. He printed it his own way, maybe, and it enraged the Roman Catholic Church. जो हेड पोप था या फिर प्रीस्ट थे, उनको बहुत गुस्सा लगा ये पढ़कर, जो ये फॉर्मुलेटेड या रीप्रिंटेड वाला बाइबल था, जिसने गॉड और उसने बनाई हुई चीज के बारे में लिखा गया था उस बाइबल में, उसको पढ़कर उन सभी लोगों को बहुत गुस्सा आया। ओके, वो कॉन्ट्रडिक्ट करता था या क्रिटिसाइज करता था उन लोगों के बिलीव्स को, इसीलिए। चलो, एंड तब से द रोमन कैथलिक चर्च, troubled by such effects of popular leading and questioning of faith, imposed several controls over publishers and booksellers and began maintaining an index of prohibited books. Prohibited books का मतलब जो एक एरिया में prohibited है. हमारे इंडिया में भी बहुत सारे बुक्स पब्लिश होते हैं जिन लाइक क्रिटिसाइजिंग ऑथर्स वो या कुछ भी हो, पर जो पब्लिक पढ़ती है उसको दूसरी आइडिया नहीं आनी चाहिए, इसीलिए वो उसको प्रोहिबिट करते हैं. सो तब से फ्रॉम 1558 द रोमन कैथलिक चर्च स्टार्टेड टू मेंटेन एन इंडेक्स, मतलब एक लिस्ट बना के रखना, ये बुक्स बैंड है, ये प्रोहिबिटेड है, इनको पढ़ना ही नहीं, ऐसे इंडेक्स मेंटेन करती गई. ठीक है, चलो. द रीडिंग मेनिया. सो the reading mania mein we see how it influenced so many things, and we have to obviously learn about print culture in the French Revolution. ये 5 मार्क्स के लिए तो नहीं पूछेंगे, पर 2-3 मार्क्स के लिए पूछ भी सकते हैं. And how the print culture how the print culture kind of influenced the French Revolution. And we have first, second and third points. First point ये बोलता है कि इट काइंड ऑफ डेस्पोटिक पावर ऑफ द स्टेट्स को एरोडिंग द लेजिटिमेसी, मतलब ये सच्ची है और ये अच्छी है क्या उसको बोलने लगे. ठीक है, और वो क्रिटिसाइज करते रहे ये सुपरस्टिशन और ये डेस्पोटिज्म और ये जो परंपराएं है इसको क्रिटिसाइज करते गई, ये अच्छी नहीं है हमारे लिए, तो हमें गवर्नमेंट चाहिए या फिर नेशनल असेंबली बनाए ये लोग, तो वो चाहिए हमें, ये परंपरा या फिर अरिस्टोक्रेसी मोनार्की ये नहीं चाहिए हमें, राजा रानी. ठीक है, और जो सेकंड है वो ये डायलॉग्स या डिबेट को स्टार्ट कर गई. ठीक है, जो ये रूल्स रेगुलेशंस थे उसको रीवैल्यूएट करने लगे पब्लिक ने. ठीक है, आपको पता होगा जब लाइक लिटरेट्स बहुत थे, लाइक इन द 18th and 19th century, in the turn of the 20th century, literacy rate went up, but in these times of the French Revolution in the 18th century, the literacy rate was very low. So because of this, many people did not know how to read. So many of the publishers or many of the people who were literate, they read like in public readings that you do in today's modern world. You read out a kind of a segment and you explain it. You explain your thoughts or why you wrote this sentence and what does it mean. So that is how they conveyed this message to people, and people in their own language fought or debated that this system should not be there or this system should be there. It is good for the people, it is good for everyone. Like that, they debated against all of these religious and despotic ideas, or questioning the legitimacy of this monarchy, aristocratic rule or dictatorships per se. So the third reason is by the 1780s they were outpouring of the literacy rate or royalty और criticize करने लगे morality को. ठीक है, सो एंड ऑब्वियसली व्हेन पीपल लिटरेसी रेट बढ़ता है वो भी लिखने लगते हैं, और ये कार्टून्स और कैरिकेचर्स, मतलब ये इसको कैरिकेचर बोल सकते हैं हम कार्टून भी हो सकते हैं, कैरिकेचर भी है. चलो, और वो बनाने लगे जो मोनार्कीज और उनको क्रिटिसाइज करते रहे एक फन वे में और ये एक अनसीरियस वे में लेती है. ठीक है, हम मॉक करते हैं ना, जो दूसरी देश है, आप रील्स या फिर यूट्यूब पर देखे होंगे, वो इंडिया को बहुत सारे क्रिटिसाइज करते हैं और इंडियन आर्टिस्ट से बहुत लाइक झटाक से एक आंसर देते हैं जो उनको चुप बैठ जाती है. आपने वो मोमेंट्स देखे होंगे ना, एग्जैक्टली. सो वो है कैरिकेचर्स एंड कार्टून्स. सो दिस इज हाउ द प्रिंट कल्चर इन द मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड kind of revolutionized this French Revolution or contributed to the French Revolution. So we need to learn about the 19th century and further innovations का मतलब है printing press, वो ही आप लिख लोगे. and India and the world of print में, चलो हमने India and the world of print में एक मिनट. So India and the world of print में हमें पढ़ना है manuscripts before the age of print. प्रिंटिंग के पहले ही हमारे पास मैन्यूस्क्रिप्ट थे. सो इंडियाज ओल्ड ट्रेडिशन ऑफ हैंड रिटन मैन्यूस्क्रिप्ट्स, वी हैड दीज मैन्यूस्क्रिप्ट्स, राइट. So when this happened, we used to write on palm leaves or even just like a thin layer of wood में लिखते थे और ये inscriptions बनाने लगते थे और stones में या फिर slabs में, right? That is how printing kind of used to work in India. We used to make all of these books or papers and whatnot. And when did print came to India, you may ask? That is by the Portuguese to Goa. Portuguese brought print to Goa. Books printed by Jesuit priests in vernacular language, मतलब Konkani or and Karna, that were printed. Okay, Jesuits vernacular languages में, ठीक है? चलो. Okay, and then even English printing began in India, and when the East India Company came, they wanted books to educate people, to make them learn how to administrate or how to be in the civil service of the British. Like that, they started printing books, obviously. And we need to learn about religious reforms and public debates. So social reforms, fear among Muslims, print and Hindus. So social reforms way debate and confrontation around religious issues, emergence of new ideas, intense conservatism between social and religious reforms, and Hindu orthodoxy. मतलब एक original का okay, and counter publications to prove their point. Next, we need to talk about fear among Muslims. So the collapse of the Muslim dynasties made उलमान्स एंक्शियस, मतलब वो डरने लगे. जो ये मुस्लिम डायनासिस थे, जो ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी आने लगी तो मुस्लिम्स जो कम्युनिटीज़ थे या फिर मुगल्स थे, दिल्ली सुल्तानेत, तो वो सब गिरने लगे, है ना. ब्रिटिश ने ऑक्यूपाई कर ली सभी को. तो दे फियर्ड कंजर्वेशन एंड चेंज इन मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉस. तो ये सब आने में तो होगा कंजर्वेटिव्स, एंड इवन ब्रिटिश ट्राई टू कन्वर्ट ऑल ऑफ द हिंदूज, मुस्लिम्स और कुछ भी रिलीजन थे इंडिया में पहले, उनको क्रिश्चियन में बदलने के लिए उन्होंने तो बहुत ट्राई किया था, ठीक है. और बिगैन उर्दू ट्रांसलेशन ऑफ होली स्क्रिप्चर्स. होली स्क्रिप्चर्स तो है हिंदू टेक्स्ट में भी, सॉरी मुस्लिम्स में भी. पब्लिश्ड फतवास cautioning Muslims about their conduct. कंडक्ट का मतलब जो वो एक्शंस करते हैं ना, वो है उनका कंडक्ट. ओके, यहाँ पर ही है फतवास टेलिंग अबाउट मुस्लिम्स रीडर्स हाउ टू कंडक्ट देमसेल्व्स इन देयर एवरीडे लाइफ्स. मतलब वो कैसे जीना है एवरीडे लाइफ, लाइक ट्रूथ टू योर सेल्फ और समथिंग लाइक दैट. ओके, चलो. And then we need to talk about women and print, right? So reading among middle class women increased. Obviously, when the literacy rate increased, even women started to read. Women started to become literates. Okay, and they also started to read. So liberal families educated their women folk, like I told, and conservative feared that women would be windowed or be corrupted. See, these conservatives are always like this. When the people they want to be just like that, like a peasant, like the peasant people, like that, and then they started to criticize this, like why should women read this, why should women do that, why should women be literate. So conservatives always had this, like a worker, he might demand for much wage or something like that, and he wanted to work for some amount of wage, and the conservatives might say you should work for free for me because I'm a conservative, or I'm rich, or I'm aristocratic, or I'm related to the monarchy, like that. Conservatives beliefs, right? And then we need to talk about print and censorship, right? Women and print हमने discuss किया. अब चलो, और print and censorship. We just have this little things and I have points. So regulations to control press freedom. So we saw in many of these things that Catholics और ये Roman Church वाले या aristocratic monarchies या monarchies, dictators, ये सब no. So we saw all of those people getting scared for their lives because all of these people were criticizing their legitimacy. Like ये क्यों exist करते हैं, ये हमें नहीं चाहिए, इनके बिना हम बहुत अच्छे से भी रह सकते हैं. तो ये सब क्रिटिसाइज करने लगे. वो सबको बहुत डर लगा, लाइक हमें छोड़कर कैसे जी लेंगे ये कैसे हो सकता है, वो सब. सो मोनार्कीज को तो ये होगा ना कुछ तो that is why they started to fear all of this. So, and we have another vernacular press act. So we have this in 1878. The Vernacular Press Act was passed, modeled on the Irish press law, providing the government with executive right to censorship and vernacular press. राइट सो वी हैव द सेंसरशिप. सेंसरशिप का मतलब है जो भी वो पब्लिश होगा मीडिया में और या पब्लिक के आई में, उसको हम प्रोहिबिट कर सकते हैं. मतलब ये इंडिया में एग्जाम्पल ले तो आप प्राइम मिनिस्टर या किसी नेता के बारे या आप महात्मा गांधी के बारे में भी आप बुरे से बोल सकते हैं मीडिया पे. आपको कोई भी नहीं रोक सकता और आपके कंटेंट को वो जो निकाल नहीं सकते सोशल मीडिया से. आप लिख सकते हो बुक्स ऐसे, ठीक है. अब वो जब बहुत बैड इन्फ्लुएंस या बैड तरीके से इंटरप्ट कर सॉरी वो निकालते जाते हैं, तब वो बैन होगा. तब वो सेंसरशिप वाले आकर रोक देंगे, भाई आप रुको, ये बहुत बड़ी इम्पैक्ट कर रही है और बहुत बुरी इम्पैक्ट कर रही है, तो हम बैन कर देंगे इस बुक्स को, हम बर्न कर देंगे या फिर कुछ श्रेड कर देंगे, कुछ कर देंगे. और that is how censorship works in India. And even if you can go and criticize about PM Modi or anyone on the internet, on media, because you have seen many people criticizing CMs and whatnot, and they don't give a shit. they are not like वो बहुत डरे नहीं है वो ये नेता हमें कुछ कर देंगे या CM हमें कुछ कर देगा, ऐसा तो नहीं है. तो ये censorship नहीं है हमारे जो इंडिया में. सो डिस्पाइट रिप्रेसिव मेजर्स, nationalist newspaper grew. Obviously these people did not stop even after the censorship. आपने देखा होगा जो रशियन रेवोल्यूशन में वो सेंसरशिप आया था पर रुके क्या, पीपल सीक्रेट सोसाइटीज बनाई, लाइक कार बना रही, नॉट इन द रशिया पर हाँ. सो दिस वाज योर प्रिंट कल्चर and the modern world in one short video. I'll be coming back after the first Feb with the PYQs. I'm so exhausted right now. So चलो हमने कर लिया प्रिंट कल्चर. रिवाइज करते हैं टॉपिक वाइज हमने क्या क्या डिस्कस किया, ठीक है. और ये है हमने डिस्कस किया फर्स्ट प्रिंटेड बुक्स और ये रबिंग पेपर और ये वुडन ब्लॉक्स कैसे प्रिंट करते थे. हमने डायमंड सूत्र के बारे में पढ़ा जो जापानीज बुक था, बुद्धिस्ट मिशनरीज ने चाइना से लेकर जापान को, और हाउ प्रिंट केम टू इंडिया, प्रिंट केम टू यूरोप, एंड हाउ these Portuguese people introduced print to India in Goa and all of these. And we saw women in print. And you might be like asked a question why. So वुमेन के बारे में तो क्वेश्चन पूछ सकते हैं. आई विल डू दैट क्वेश्चन इन द और PYQs वाले सेक्शन, ठीक है. एंड वी ऑल्सो सॉ इन द 19th century and even we read about print and censorship, which is very thing, and we saw many examples of the print and censorship throughout the chapter, right? So चलो हम एंड करते हैं इस चैप्टर को. दिस इज लाइक अंडर 35 minutes. आई होप यू आर प्रिपेयरिंग एवरी सिंगल डे फॉर योर बोर्ड एग्जाम्स. मज़ेदार की चीज़ है जो लाइक यू हैव दैट वन नर्वसनेस. नो, इट इज़ लाइक वेरी गुड. सो प्लीज़ जस्ट डू नॉट फॉरगेट दैट. और ये जब फीलिंग है ना, आप जब लाइक आँख ओपन कर बंद कर दोगे तो जो फिर से ओपन करोगे हो जाएगा ये. लाइक टुडे यू आर सिटिंग एंड टुमारो इट फील्स लाइक टुमारो यू विल बी राइटिंग योर सोशल एग्जाम और या मैथ्स या साइंस या इंग्लिश लिख रहे हो. चलो वैसे होता है यार, ठीक है. अब चिंता मत लो. सो प्लीज डोंट वरी, डोंट स्ट्रेस योर सेल्फ आउट, ठीक है. मेंटल ब्रेकडाउन नहीं होनी चाहिए आपको अब. Okay, please. Okay, so take care of yourself, eat healthy, be healthy, go on a walk, go cycling, right, like an hour a day. So and even do not waste that much time, right? So be energetic, be positive, ठीक है. चलो, I am Pavanan Gowda, your history and geography mentor at Subject Academy Learner. So चलो मैं चलता हूँ. Bye. I hope you enjoyed this session. One shot of print culture and the modern world. Thank you.